Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del challenges the status quo, questions everything, and empowers you to return to your core beliefs to make your life better. If you're ready to hear the truth and get your roadmap to the lifestyle you really want, the next hour will change your life. And now, your host, self-made millionaire, national award-winning investor of the year, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and the help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today, my friends, is Tell Del Tuesday, and with us, we have a guest that is coming out of Austin, Texas, and I just want to read this one sentence to you before I introduce him. When asked, what's been the change in your life since you started investing? His answer is, I've increased my income over $9,000 a month and turned my original net worth of $400,000 into $2.1 million. I think that's a great introduction for Mr. Mike Shoemaker. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hello, Dale. How are you doing today?
Very good, sir. How are you doing?
Good. Fantastic. Another great day.
Well, I see you doing financially very well. You've done a great job. Why don't you start by telling the audience a little bit about yourself, since I don't have a full bio on you over here. Tell us about what you have done in your life, where you come from, and did you go to school, what kind of job you have, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sir. I graduated from Texas A&M University in 1980 in structural civil engineering, and I did that for about 10 years after graduating from college, and then I was kind of doing software programming right off the bat as a structural engineer. So I quickly transitioned to as a software developer from 1990, even all the way up until today. I still do some consulting software programming. So that's kind of my beginning. You
know what I don't hear in any of that, Mike? I don't hear any real estate in any of that. So
I know, because I've done more in real estate the past 7 years than I did, those 40 years of working for somebody else. So, 2015 is when I officially joined Lifestyles. And at that time, Del, I had about $200,000. I had no 401k. I had no retirement. I was 56 years old and going, what am I going to do? So I had been listening to you on the radio for a good year. And until I finally just pulled the trigger and joined Lifestyles, and that completely changed my life. And as you see, I've been able to do some amazing things, and all because of Lifestyles. Training, mentoring, the camaraderie among other Lifestyles investors has just been unbelievable. And I've done all this, Del, working a full-time job and just doing this on a Saturday.
Well, being an engineer and a programmer, nothing in line with being a real estate investor. What was the biggest aha moments when you first went to the 2-day and started looking into this stuff?
Biggest aha moment, Del, was, I was kind of toying with real estate. I was thinking, okay, I've got some money here, and typical engineer thinking, okay, where can I deploy this? I say I got $75,000 sitting here, and I'm going, hey, I could just buy a single family house, and put, say it's $150,000, and I thought to myself, I'll put $75,000 down on this house, and I'll make $500 a month. So I thought, man, that's better than I could put anywhere. I can't put that in a CD or I was like you. I lost a bunch of money in the stock market in 2001, the .com crash. I was like, I'm not going to do stocks. So it was like, that was my line of thinking. And I think a lot of people who aren't knowledgeable about real estate investing, that's kind of how they approach it, from that perspective. So my aha moment was after the 2-day training with David Fisher, the power of leverage and the power of hard money, that changed everything. Because I could have taken that $75,000 and bought 3-4 single family homes and, tripled that income. So that was the aha moment for me.
Yeah, leverage is something they don't teach. In fact, it's probably, if you're an engineer, you're probably running along the conservative lines and probably feeling like putting $75,000 down makes it really safe investment, right?
Right.
So you learned how to use leverage. Then looks like you took off from there. Huh? let's talk about your plan, whatever that was, and then let's talk about the reality and how they really diverged, I think. In other words, unless you plan to buy all these houses all at once and boom, 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 if that was the plan, we want to hear that. If not, was it just something that grew? Tell us how this came about.
Yeah, Del, that's a great question. I did not have a plan. Obviously I didn't have a plan. I was sitting there at 56 years old, about $200,000 of cash, and I had some equity in my home of about $200,000, and that was it. So talk about not having a plan, which is I think a lot of people don't think far enough ahead, and I surely didn't. And so I did this, Del, one property at a time, and as I did it, it just empowered me as I went along my path, and I was just enjoying it so much, and I really went after it. I had at one time, I had 4 properties under hard money at the same time. Real estate, one thing great about it, it's just so forgiving, and you can make a lot of mistakes and you can still come out on the other end smelling like a rose, and I'm an example of that.
Did you have a sort of a property profile that you were after?
No, sir, I didn't. When I came out of the two-day, like most lifestyle members, we come out of that 2-day, we're pumped up, we're fired up for multifamily. I mean, that multifamily presentation is so compelling as a passive investor. It's just so powerful. So I was just pumped up. I was going to be a passive investor on multifamily deals. That's where I was coming out of the 2-day. But that takes a little bit of networking, in lifestyles to get to learn the leads, the syndicator lead investors, and find out their deals and knowing how to analyze them. And Lifestyle's done a great job of educating the passive investor on how to evaluate multifamily deals. So, but I kind of wanted to jump. It really came into that first single family email blast. It came into my email box about midnight on a December evening. I happened to be at the office late. A blast came in, and I just said, you know what, I'm going for it. I'm just going to do it. I just did it. And then once I started that first single family, I just haven't looked back. Obviously I did an IRO on a 10-unit apartment in Church. I was just going head first and not looking back.
So I'm trying to dig into why you got so excited that you went so fast and so hard and so fast. So I'm going to ask, probing questions is what I'm looking for here. Okay. On the first deal, did you get equity capture out of it? Was that why it was so exciting, or was it the large amount of cash flow? What got you so pumped up?
David Fisher in the 2-day training, he made the comment, what's the smell of money? And it's cat urine. And so this first house was exactly that. I walked into this house and it was just smelled like cat urine, and I thought, wow, I gotta, it's a little bit scary, but I turned that house. It was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house, and I converted it to a 4-2. It already had a converted garage, and I just converted it. And I turned that house around, and it was just the way I had gone in there and turned this house into a piece of junk into something that was really nice and livable and a service to a renter. That satisfaction that I got, that is what continued to drive me forward. There was no better feeling than to turn that property around and make it a livable, nice place for someone to live. And I just really enjoyed it. It's really, and I was learning so much. And that was another part of what's so much fun about this is the learning. You learn so much so fast. Life is all about learning.
Well, I agree. And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, let's have you, while we're taking the break, think about what all did you learn from that first house? I mean, you learn, like you said, you learn a lot each and every deal you do, but the first one you learn so much more because you learn it all at once.
It's not just the money, it's the lifestyle. Here's Del Walmsley.
4 different times in my life, a truck hit me. I fell down. They thought I was dead. They took me to the hospital. They took all the pieces, taped them back on again, and threw me back out there. And I go, wow, okay, I'm back again. And then, boom, another truck hit me. I've had staph. I've had cancer. I almost died of a ruptured appendix. You name it, I've had it go wrong with me. Terrible diabetes, all kinds of structural, physical injuries. This all started happening right when I turned 50. And from 50 to 60, this 10 years has just been murder. I can't imagine what 60 to 70 will be like if I even survive. But to have gone through this and to say, wow, I'm so happy to say that in age 27, 28, 29, I decided that I better get something going. And so 2.5 years after I started investing in real estate, at 34 years of age, I was able to retire. We'll be right back with Mike Shoemaker and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Mike Shoemaker out of Austin, Texas. Mike's done multiple single-family houses and also one 10-unit apartment as an IRO, which is independent real estate owner. And he's successfully increased his income by $9,000 a month and his net worth from $400,000 to $2.1 million. So he's got quite a resume here. As we went to break, I asked Mike to think about what did he learn out of the first deal that he did. Mike, what can you share with us that you brought back after doing that first deal?
What I learned the most, Del, on that first deal is how much I didn't know. And even though David does a great job of training, the Lifestyles today is phenomenal training. Until you get thrown in the fire and fight your way out, then you really learn. And all those things that David said start really coming back in your head. You learn a lot about what to look for. You know, these were wholesale deals. These are, properties that are distressed, that are not on the MLS market. These are wholesale properties that you can only find through, wholesalers. There's a little bit of risk there, but you learn to fight through those, and those are your best opportunity because you make your money in real estate, as you said, Del, when you buy the property. And so that is so true. I just learned a lot because this house was one of those houses that needed everything. It needed a roof, it needed a foundation, it needed a new AC, it needed a complete interior rehab, it needed a full kitchen remodel, it needed an extra bathroom. And so this was a great house to start with, because it needed everything, and I learned all about how foundations are leveled. Of course, I'm a structural civil engineer, right? But, the stuff I did was all, pre-stressed, precast concrete, for small to medium-sized buildings. Didn't do really much foundation design, and leveling foundations is a whole other world of engineering that I didn't really have a lot of experience with. So I had to learn all about that, and then, of course, all about the underneath plumbing under the slab, and when you lift that slab 4 or 5 inches, what's going to break, how to attack that, from a investment perspective and to alleviate these problems and issues. It was basically a complete remodel, so you just learned everything about how to get a house completely brought up from ground up, pretty much. So
I think you've just scared 5,000 people away from starting. My first deal, I did nothing. It was brand new, total rehab. I took over a deal that had been totally rehabbed, and I felt like, wow, that was just about as much as I could stand on the first deal. And there you are doing everything the first deal. I guess that's the difference between an engineer and a salesman.
Yeah, but that was so empowering, it really was, because here I was, my first property, and so I had pretty much done everything. So, and turned this house, and that just, each house empowered me to go to the next. And as I was rehabbing the next property, another deal would come in. I was like, I got to buy that house. I cannot not buy that house. So that was why in 2016, you see there were so many properties that I was, purchasing and rehabbing. And again, all these, I think of all my portfolio, I think I may have 1 or 2 turnkey properties. These are properties that have already been, rehabbed for the most part. But most of these are wholesale distressed properties that need a lot of work.
So you did 9 properties within a year and a couple of months, whatever. Blew it out of the water here. What did you take along to the second property? I mean, you said you learned so much from the first property. What did that make you think about the second property? Did it give you the feeling that you could attack anything and make it work, or did it make you think maybe I should cut back a little bit and watch out for some of the problems I ran into?
No, because I felt I had so much confidence at the first house. I believed there was nothing I could not solve. it was so empowering that, having been through all that in the first house, I just there's nothing that you're going to throw at me in the second house that that's going to surprise me, that I'm going to be concerned about. The great thing about this is you learn how not to be scared. Jump in there with both feet and go after it hard. It'll all come out in the end. You'll start to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what I did. I just kept pushing and pushing until, just taking one property as I could, one at a time, as quickly as I could, and refining it out of the hard money and moving to the next. And I just kept going. I kept my head to the grindstone, and I kept grinding. So lesson learned here is go in there, jump in, take off.
When I used to teach the seminar, Mike, I had a saying, and that was real estate changes you as you get into it. How do you feel real estate's changed you?
It's helped me, again, going back to the confidence, it's given me a lot more confidence. Again, that feeling that there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind to it. It reinforces that. We're all kind of hear that along our lifetime, but this really is, real estate's one of those things that really, really pushes that. Very, very empowering.
As you took off on this and went crazy, 8 properties in your first year, what were people close to you, around you, saying to you about all this?
I didn't really tell a lot of people. I kind of did this all by myself. I didn't really talk to a lot of people. The only people that I really talked to were people in lifestyles, other investors, and I just kind of did it all on my own. I didn't really talk about it because I didn't want to talk about it until it was time. So I kind of had fought through it and come out the other side. And I didn't want to fail, and I didn't want to talk to anybody until I was successful. And I was determined to be successful. So
nobody at work knew you were doing this?
No.
No family members?
Yeah, I told my mother and my brother, and I told my girlfriend, but I didn't give them any real details. They just knew I was kind of doing some stuff with real estate, but I didn't keep them informed on the day-to-day at all and where I was headed. I just kept saying, I'm just going to keep plugging here, and I'm going to keep going. I'll tell you more about it when I come out the other side. Yeah,
I'd love to ask you the question, but I don't want to do it right now. But before we get out of here, I want to ask, did all of a sudden you find friends at the end of the tunnel when you came out the other side? Oh, Mike.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. When I came out the other side of the tunnel, I had a lot of friends.
All right, we're going to take a break, Mike.
Del Walmsley on how to live the lifestyle.
The more business you own, the better the people you can hire. The better the people you hire, the less you need to be involved. The higher the quality of the people, and the more profit you make. So it's one of these spiraling things, but it's not spiraling out of control, like where you work and work and work because you're in the business. This is because you don't work, because you're not in the business, because you have so many people working for you, because you're so wealthy. That's the end result. That's the end run. And then, of course, the last part of that is you got to give back. Somewhere along the line, if you have any belief that you got there by yourself, you're crazy. We all got there with help from other people, mentoring us the whole way through the whole process. And when you get to that point, you got to look back and say, hey, it's my turn. I talked to a guy the other day on Tell Del. He said the same thing. He was like Brian was saying, my goal is to get to the point where I don't work in my business anymore at all. And he says that I'd like to, help some other people. I said, so what you're saying is you want to come be a consultant? He goes, wow, I guess I do. So there it was. Full circle. I always know a person is ready to retire when they're ready to mentor. If you are in a situation where you're still struggling on your business that you don't have the time to mentor, then you're still in your business. Very true. Listen to that again. I'll say it one more time. If you're still working in your business to the degree that you don't have time to mentor other people, then you're not 100% successful. Or let me restate that. You're still in an independent state and not ready to move into interdependency, which is the most mature level of all of this. We'll be right back with Mike Shoemaker and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Tell Del Radio Show. Thank you. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Mike Shoemaker out of Austin, Texas. And Mike has purchased quite a few houses over the last couple of years and a small apartment complex. But most notably, he's increased his income by $9,000 a month and increased his net worth from $400,000 to $2.1 million. So if you're just tuning in, this is an interesting guy. Mike, let's change directions here 1 second. Let's talk about the 10-unit you purchased. And why did you decide to go ahead and try an IRO deal?
Well, man, I had a good friend of mine I grew up with. He's a Lifestyles member, too. He was on the computers kind of searching and looking just to see what was out there on the Internet for, any type of multifamily deals, small unit apartment complexes. And he pointed out that there was this 10-unit, and it was actually 9 units when I bought a 9-unit apartment in Schertz, Texas. And he goes, Mike, I came to the office, and he showed me this listing. And so I was like, wow, that sounds a decent price. They were asking $495,000 for it. And I thought, well, I'd like to look more into that. So anyway, basically, we just took off from there. We called the realty who had that property listed, went from there, and ended up putting an LOI on it and got the deal and got it under contract. And I didn't know what I was doing. But I just knew that I went and looked at this apartment complex, and it was, I had the mentors at Lifestyles. Doug Crumwell was the mentor. He met me there, and we did a walkthrough on it. And he goes, did you run the numbers? I go, yeah, I ran the numbers. I go, this looks good. He goes, you know what? This looks good. Just turned out to be a fantastic investment for me.
So tell us what the numbers looked like, just in your own words. What kind of numbers are we looking at here? Yeah,
initially the numbers came out to about a 20% return, Bill. It still needed, the units were all in pretty good shape, a little antiquated, 80s build property. About 5 months after I bought that apartment, I had a fire, and it burned the whole left side of the apartment. So basically burned up 5 units, and which was actually perfect because with those other 5 units still income, I was able to stay afloat without losing money just on those 5. So I was able to float until I got all the insurance claim and all that stuff come back through. It took about a year and a half to get all the insurance settled. And with that insurance money, I turned that would look like a negative into an unbelievable positive situation where I was able to completely take that money and rehab every single unit in that complex except for one.
So I assume that the rehab also brought a couple other benefits, like one, higher rent?
Was able to bring higher. It was a C, D+, C-, D+ property. But yes, when I was able to turn those units, completely rehab them, get rid of the popcorn ceilings, put in granite countertops and put, vinyl flooring everywhere and repaint interior. Some of them I put washer and dryer. None of them had any washer and dryer connections. I started putting washer and dryer connections in them. But yes, I was actually able to drive the rents up significantly since I bought that complex.
What kind of rent increases did you get from what to what?
When I took over, the rents were around $650 for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and today I'm around $895.
That's quite a bit. So have you internalized the value change from all that increase in income, the fact your buildings are newer now? Have you recapped your property to figure out what it's worth today?
Yes, sir. It's worth today about $850,000.
And what did you pay for it?
I paid it $495,000 for it.
Now, what cap rate are you using to get to the $850,000? Just out of curiosity.
I'm using a 6 cap rate.
So that's a very high cap rate because everything that we're buying around town is 4 to 5% cap rate. So 6 is a very high cap rate. All right, so it's a very conservative number. I can see then. And what did you have to put down to buy this? Out of curiosity.
I was able to get financing through a credit union, Dell. I only had to put 20% down.
So that'd be about $100,000?
About $100,000, yes. I think with closing costs and everything, it was about $116,000.
So you've gone from $500,000 in value to $850,000. Sorry. So that's $350,000 increase on $100,000 investment. That's a 350% return. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yes, sir. Outstanding.
All right. So do you see doing any more of these?
I'm looking every day, Dell, trying to find another one. So, it's a tougher market. as we all know right now, we've got a lot of buyers in our space now that weren't traditionally in our space that are, got a lot of cash buyers coming in and bidding these small under 100 unit apartment complexes bidding up. So it's a little tougher as a leveraged buyer to compete, but I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep trying.
Well, looking backwards, which is always pretty clear, hindsight's 20/20. Looking backwards, what would you have done differently? I mean, been doing this now for 7 years?
7 years, yes. Sir.
7 years. What would you have done differently now that you can look backwards and say, wow, I should have done that?
I don't have any of that. I mean, I look back here and I kind of surprises myself when I look at this. I ask myself, how did I do this? So I have no regrets and nothing. I would say the contrary. I wouldn't change a thing.
So if you were talking to someone new, what would you tell them is the most important things to grasp right out of the beginning here?
Don't be scared. Jump in and just get going. Lifestyles, like I didn't have a plan at all, and I adopted Lifestyles map to success, and that became my plan. I would tell everyone to do that. Follow your education, and don't be afraid, and just go for it. And you have so much support at Lifestyles. That's what's another great thing about Lifestyles Unlimited is all the other investors and all the mentors. You've got so many people that you can lean on if you have any issues or problems, and so you've got all that support, and that makes it so much easier. So that really helped me, and now I'm giving back. I'm one of those investors now that I do everything I can to help other Lifestyles investors, any problems, questions, issues, because I've pretty much seen it all. But you know what? There's always I'm humbled because I still learn something from every single investor at Lifestyles. Every time I have a conversation, I learn something new. So this is just a learning experience, and that's what makes it so much fun. And I absolutely love it. And this is now my new passion.
How about the social aspect of Lifestyles Unlimited? Have you taken advantage of that?
All the potlucks, the meetup groups. I try to go. The road trips, educational and acquisition road trips for multifamily, single family. I try to go to many of these as I can. I stay active on all the email groups and try to provide good information to all other investors. And so, yeah, absolutely. I've really enjoyed that. I love going to the multifamily road trips. I love going to single-family road trips. And I'm able to contribute different things in my experiences. So it's fantastic. It's a share of knowledge every time I do these things.
Where exactly is Shirts? I don't know if I pronounced it right.
Yeah, it's just northeast San Antonio. If you're kind of heading on Highway 78, Old Seguin Highway, and I call it the 78 corridor because being from Austin, I could attack that 78 corridor in northeast San Antonio and go all the way up 78, all the way into Shirts, and trying to invest all along that Highway 78 all the way into Seguin. I tried to buy a 32-unit apartment complex in Seguin that I lost out on, but that's my stomping ground right there. All
right, Mike, we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with Mike Shoemaker and the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Now, from the files of Del Walmsley.
I always send out an email asking people to critique the class, and the interesting thing to me was that about 95% of the people pointed out that although some of them had been listening to me on the radio for 5 years or 10 years and finally decided it was time to take action on it, other people just a very short period of time decided to take action on it. You realize that if you listen to this on the radio and you hear these tremendous results that people have, you question yourself as to two things. Number one, does it really work? And of course, how long do you need to listen before you realize that you can't keep putting this stuff out there with new people, new members, new results without realizing that this stuff is real? And the second question is to yourself, am I ready to do something? Am I truly ready to make a change? People coming to the 2-day seminar, they come away from the 2-day seminar is, wow, I never would have realized that it is, number one, that realistic to do it. Number two, understanding how it's done takes away the mystery. In other words, now that I know how you do it, It takes away the mystery and it lowers or lessens the fear of whether or not I can actually do it or not is the benefit of going to the 2-day workshop. And they're so surprised that, hey, I thought I was a million miles away from being able to do something like that. I never thought I could have bought some rental houses. I never would have thought ever I could ever buy an apartment complex, et cetera, et cetera. If you understand the financial techniques used to do this stuff, then you can do it too. We'll be right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. With me here today on Tell Del Tuesday is Mike Shoemaker out of Austin, Texas. Again, Mike's increased his income over $9,000 a month, and he's also increased his net worth from $400,000 to $2.1 million. Mike, tell us about when it was you finally decided you could let go of your job. How much income have you developed in passively, and when did this happen? How long was that after you joined up Lifestyles?
Probably about 3 years after I joined Lifestyles, I had enough passive income to retire. Really, I continued to work, but that was by choice, only because I love doing software development work, and I still got a lot of people calling me to do software development consulting type work. So that's the only reason why I do it, because I enjoy it. So I could actually quit doing that if I wanted to and just devote 100% to real estate. And I see that day coming very, very soon. But I could have actually stopped doing that, probably 3 years while being in the Lifestyles.
So what has it meant to you to be financially free? I mean, obviously, I still do radio shows, so I understand something you enjoy doing, even after you got enough money you don't need to. I get that. But what has it meant to you psychologically, physically? How has it changed your life?
It has changed my life entirely. Like, it's taken that worry and stress of, retirement, that passive stream of income. It's changed my life. I mean, it's given me, now I don't have to worry anymore. And now I've got all the confidence to build my portfolio even more and more. And I will not stop pursuing. And it has completely changed my life. And I owe that to you, Del, and to Lifestyles Unlimited. What
about your family and friends? Now that you've come out of the tunnel, you've come out of the shell, let everybody else know what you're doing. What do they think about it?
They're very, very, I got a 24-year-old daughter and a 21-year-old son. My daughter's a nurse. I'm trying to get her interested in real estate and, maybe buying a property up in Lubbock while she's living up there and maybe have her manage it. My son is still at University of Texas. He's studying electrical engineering. He's not interested at all in real estate. And then my girlfriend, she doesn't really care what I do as long as bills are paid.
Okay, so you're still running by yourself then, huh?
Yes, sir. Still running by myself. Absolutely.
I guess that's one of the benefits of being able to hang out with people from Lifestyles is kindred spirit.
All my friends are all other investors. A whole bunch of new friends that like-minded. We all are on the same page and we're all following the same map, and that just makes it so much more fun for me. It's been so fantastic, this journey through Lifestyles. I've just enjoyed this. It's turned my life around. It's given me financial freedom and great hope for the future. So I'm going to continue on.
Well, when we started this conversation, you were excited about passive investing, and yet I see no passive investing here. What happened?
Yeah, I guess I got impatient, Del, and when I joined Lifestyles, I was just so excited and pumped up. I just wanted to start doing something. So single family was the easiest option at that time. And so once I jumped in, I kept going. I am looking at passive deals. I'm looking at other IRO deals. So in the future, I will definitely be investing in some other lead investors at Lifestyles into their deals as a passive investor. I do want to continue my single-family portfolio and grow it. I did it exactly the way Lifestyles taught us, to rehab and fix everything so that we don't get those calls in the middle of the night. So, and that has worked to perfection. So this is not hard to do if you do it right.
Have you gotten to the point yet where you're refinancing out cash from previous deals to move forward to the next deals?
I am actually entertaining that as we speak, talking to a lot of other lenders right now, and they're doing some refinancing and pull some cash out of these properties and do some of these passive investing and be able to acquire some more single family as the deals come to me. So I'm actually looking at that right now as we speak.
Well, we've only got about 30 seconds left here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody as we go to
Like I've stated before, it's just don't be afraid to take action. And there's no quicker way to success, in my opinion, than through real estate. Dell, you've mentioned, 3 to 5 years to retire. Well, that's very, very possible, and it can happen if you decide to make it happen. It's up to you. And you have all the people there to help you along the way. So there's no reason not to do this.
Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story with us and your time to tell your story. I really appreciate it. Mike, thank you again, and look forward to hearing more about you as time goes on. For the rest of you out there, remember this. Mike's not doing this for the money. He's got a job. He's got money. He's got a lot of money now. He's doing it for something completely different. He's doing it for a super high quality of lifestyle.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley radio show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.